I don't know about you, but for me, being a scapegoat, black sheep, empath, recovering scapegoat, what I call the escaped goat, it comes with a whole bunch of low vibration emotions, especially when going through a spiritual awakening. There's all of this fear and blame and anger and shame and sadness and all the rest of these really heavy emotions, which are really difficult to deal with. Something I've been working on at the moment or working on recently, has been in learning to nurture myself. And I'm reminded of that quote by Shakespeare. He says, nothing's good or bad until it's labeled that way. And I was thinking about it for myself. It's like, I remember, 14 years ago, I had a cocaine overdose. It's like, is a cocaine overdose a good thing or a bad thing? And I'm like, well, at the time it seemed really bad. And now I'm like, well, it was quite good. I mean, it really caught my attention, and I'm like, okay, well, it's good in a way. Same as chocolate. For me, it's at times in my life I've chosen not to eat chocolate, and sometimes I've eaten far too much, and it's like, is it good or is it bad? It's just chocolate. It's the same thing with emotions. Fear is great if it's telling me that there's a car coming towards me and that I need to step out of the road. The problem is that if I have this fear come up about something that feels overwhelming, if it paralyzes me, if that kind of part of my brain which allows me to work out what to do next goes offline, and all I can feel is this absolute terror, and I've had that a lot in these last few years with whatever it is, it's helpful but hindering at the same time. For me, emotional alchemy is being able to right size those fears, work them through where they came from in the first place. One of the things is nurture, asking myself what it is I need in this moment. Now, sometimes that's food, sometimes it just need to call a friend. Maybe I just need to change clothes because it need to be warmer. Maybe it's a hug. But essentially, what really it is finding that internal connection so that I don't feel, so I can raise my vibration away from that fear, away from the shame or whatever it is. I love calling my friends. A lot of my friends are in recovery from some sort of addiction. And I call them up and they are able to see when I say that I have this fear or whatever it is, shame, and they work it through with me. And that because they're looking at it and they don't have the shame and they don't have the fear. Well, not about my situation. And so they help me right size it. And I did this with a friend the other day. It's an interesting thing. I've started dating and it's pretty cool, but I just needed to check something out with somebody, and it was checked it out, and it was absolutely fine. That for me is a form of nurture, and if I can do that more often, there was this mystic who said, if you're wondering what the duck is in the background, by the way, I'm sitting by Buckingham Palace. I had meant to come down here one of these days and sit next to on the bench of contemplation. You know that one from Good Omens, the one that Amazon just made. I love that one. I watched all 6 episodes. First box set I've ever watched. Back on point. You know, there's this guy called Gurdjieff, and he was, I don't know, it's like 100 years ago, but he was a mystic, which basically means he studied the invisible stuff, what we would call spiritual stuff, or some people call it religious stuff, some people call it metaphysical, and quantum physics physicists call it quantum physical stuff. What he said is, if I can become aware of what's going on inside of me emotionally at the same time as what is going on around me, then I can balance both. And I think this is it's genius and so difficult to do. So I was dealing with something today, and it was genuinely scary. I called a friend and I checked it in, and he's like, yeah, it's genuinely scary, having to deal with some stuff, and but I'm aware that, okay, it's some scary stuff. It's not going to kill me right now. I just have to, there's some actions I need to put in, and I could right size my own fear. The more I learn to do that, the more I can become aware of what's going on inside of me. Is it fear? Is it shame? Is it sadness? I am trying to work out, this is why I go back and do the shadow work, that stuff where I work through the experiences I had as a kid so that I don't bring them into today, so that the fear that I am feeling, and it brought up some stuff in me, and I said to my friend, I'm like, you know, the fear I've got right now, it's the fear from a 6-year-old me, and I can recognize it, and then I can work out what it is I need to do. For me, I relate this very much to the Holy Trinity, not the one you're thinking of, the Holy Trinity of masculine, feminine, child. So if inside of me I've got this emotional pain, this kind of 6-year-old fear, what do I need to do? Use my divine masculine, create a safe space, know that I've learned to show up in the world and not let people bully me. It's and that's for us who are empaths. That's a really difficult thing to do. I was thinking about it, and like one of the things that's been so hard is this idea of be nice to Mark. If I saw someone treating somebody else the way I often internally treat myself, I'd probably stop it somehow. It's just, there is that, for those of us who took on a message early on of whatever it was, not good enough, never be good enough, or the fear of I'm not all right, that kind of that stuff that goes on, and inside where you feel completely powerless, helpless, overwhelmed, that it's debilitating, and it's also understandable. It's like, you know, we had experiences, and I had experiences, and some of them were unresolved, and that meant that I felt that fear again. If I can, and the weird thing, it's like, combine that with perfectionism, and you've got this kind of recipe where if I don't feel good enough, then on the side of that, I beat myself up for not being good enough. And it's like, that's just some sort of crazy shame spiral. This idea of be nice to Mark, learn to nourish myself. Really, I mean, I'm really good at doing it with other people. And it's and I seem to have been the last in queue. And interestingly, the last couple of years, predominantly, I haven't had a stable place to live, and I've had a couple of stomach infections, and I've had autoimmune disease, and trying to work out what it is I need in each moment is like, it's super difficult. And sometimes I've just gone, well, fuck it. I just whatever it is, and just and I give up. And sometimes it gets so sometimes it gets so crazy painful that the only thing I can do, and at that point I realize, okay, this is in need of a God job, and I just get down on my knees, and I generally get down on my face, not because I think God, who is either a man, woman, them or it, or possibly none of the above, I have no idea. It seems to be this invisible glue that connects everything. Really no idea what. It's just a very convenient word because it's very short. I get down on my face just basically because if I am in that much pain, then generally I'm there because my ego is just won't let go of stuff. So you know, when that low vibration stuff comes up, a lot of it for me is an understanding that it guides me, it points me to where I want to be in life. It's that, and that sounds simplistic and twee, but it's like these low vibrations, the fear kind of points me in the direction of the actions I need to take to empower myself. Escaping the scapegoat role, it's all about empowerment. And I feel very much more empowered now than I did a year ago, than I did 2 years ago, than I did whenever it was. the more stuff I've been through, the stronger I've got. And at the same time, from working, doing that personal development stuff, kind of everything from I do 12-step, I do kind of walks in nature, I do kind of sometimes EMDR. I can't think of it right now. I've gone mentally blank. But when I do all of that, at the same time, I've learned to nurture myself. So I can stand up for myself, but I can also nurture myself. I can do both of those for other people. And one of the things is really learning how to have fun as well. Find a joy and a flow in life that kind of, so often when I forget about. It's becomes all about shadow work and working it through all those low vibrations. It's like slogging on to the next thing. What is it? What is it? And I forget that sometimes it's about sitting here in the park or listening to music, or in the mornings recently I've been getting up and those brain gym cross lateral where you take your right hand and you touch it to your left leg, and you take your left hand and take it to your right leg, and it builds neural networks between your left and right brain hemispheres. It sounds really complicated. It's not. Basically, I put music on in the morning, and I just do these exercises that syncs my brain, and I find that I'm more in my body during the day, less in my head. I like it. And then I dance for 5 minutes, not for any reason other than the fact it just starts my day off in a kind of joyous way. For me, I find that connection inside. The more I can do that. And also now, I've been thinking about this for a long time. I have wanted to set up a community for us, for those empaths, people who are black sheep, the ones that basically you guys who watch my videos and comment on my videos and identify with me and feel like family. I've been through some stuff in this last couple of years that I have not been able to, and I've struggled to find help for some of the stuff. And I'm like, okay, what can I do about it? Anyway, I came up with this idea. It's called the Escaped Goat Club. The Escaped Goat Club. And it's about empowerment and support for empaths, black sheep, and scapegoats for those of us going through heavy stuff, and for those of us who have been through heavy stuff, to be able to share and support each other so that we're all ascending. We're all we can see the way out of this kind of all the low vibes we're in. Anyway, it's a Facebook group, and it's called the Escaped Goat Club. There's a link down below. It's my idea, my vision to have whatever it is, resources on, if you're going through heinous, low vibration, legal stuff, then there's a section or someone, and then if you need some help with stomach infections or whatever it is that you've experienced, if you can share that with other people, if we all support each other, I think that's the way that we all find a new, beautiful world and really create the life and this love and this joy that many of us, I think everybody wants, and a lot of us find so hard. There's empowerment to be had if I'm only willing to, if I'm willing. And I've found that a lot on my journey. The more I do stuff, good stuff, talk to other people, just find support, give support, my life has more meaning. I have more high vibrations inside and I smile more. For me, that sounds like some good stuff. That's what the Emotional Alchemist's about, and that's also what the Escaped Goat Club is about.